Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I wanted to spend a little bit of time tonight talking about superheroes. Now, I grew up in a house full of boys. I had a bunch of brothers and one little sister, and my brothers loved superheroes. I guess when I was a kid, I did too, because we didn't have a whole lot of choices for channels. You just watched what you were able to get and what movies that you were able to watch when you were at someone else's house, or your parents brought home something. Remember when they used to go and rent movies, and my parents would rent movies and you got to keep them for a week? Well, we would get to see movies that way. We didn't get to go to the movies very often. And so when I was a kid, I tolerated the superhero movies more so than I do now. And then, they had all the superheroes on television. They had the Incredible Hulk. Now, I grew up in the 70s and the early 80s, so I'm kind of telling on myself there. But I don't try to hide how old I am. I'm 51, and so you guys can kind of figure what shows that I watched. But remember, they had the Incredible Hulk, and they had Wonder Woman, and the $6 Million Man, and what was that lady? The Bionic Woman. They had all those things. And then on Saturdays, you'd get up early and watch cartoons, and they had the superheroes or the super friends, whatever that was called, where there was Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all of those. And we were really big fans of those. And today, people are still really into superhero movies. If it wasn't the case, you wouldn't be seeing superhero movies being released all the time. They would move on to something else. When my dad and mom were kids, westerns were the big thing, and westerns were big when I was younger, and they kind of had a falling out. They're not as popular as they used to be. I wish they were, because I like westerns better than superhero movies if they make clean westerns. Sometimes they can be pretty bad. Lots of people love superhero movies. They like to see their superhuman strength, and they like to see all of the gadgets that they come out with, and the Batmobile and the fancy jet that Wonder Woman had, and the lasso and all of that kind of stuff. And people really, really get into that. And they love seeing the superheroes swoop in at the last moment and save the victims from the evil villain. They really like that. People cheer the superhero on. And so today, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about heroes. What makes someone a hero to you? Have you ever thought about that? What makes them a hero? Now, we just went over the superheroes and what defines them. But people have all kinds of people in their lives that they consider heroes. Now, of course, the superheroes, Batman, Spider-Man, all of those, don't tell anybody, but those aren't real. We're talking about real people that you consider heroes. A lot of people, if you ask them who their heroes were in their life, they would begin to name off athletes and celebrities, entertainers, people that have done great exploits. And it's okay to follow those people and admire those people. But a lot of people that are just average, ordinary, everyday people are overlooked when it comes to calling them a hero. We have our men and women in the military. To me, they're heroes. We have our men and women that are police officers and firefighters and EMTs, doctors and nurses, everyday people that are heroes to us. Now, they ask a group of third graders who were their heroes and what made a person a hero. Now, the teacher was expecting to get the names of all these big famous athletes and entertainers and singers and actors and all of these people that done all of these great things that she would see when kids come to school on their backpacks and on their lunch boxes and on their t-shirts and all of their 3-ring binders and on their shoes, and I advertised all over the kids. and their music playing, and all of the, when it came to football season or basketball season, baseball season, hearing these names over and over and over, she expected the children to really point to them as their heroes. So the question was asked, and they were surprised by the answer they got. They asked them, what makes a hero? Their answer was, people that do good, people that are kind, people that are nice to others. Then they went further and they asked the children for examples. One of the children gave the example of their parents were their heroes because they worked hard and sacrificed things that they really wanted themselves so that their children, so that they would have for themselves, the kids would have. Another one said that their older sibling was their hero because they were kind to them, they were nice to them. Used the example of having something, a cookie or a piece of pie or something that was divided between the two of them, and the sibling, the older sibling that was their hero, always gave them the bigger piece. It doesn't take much for you to be a hero in somebody's eyes. The definition of hero, when you look it up, is someone that is willing to risk their own life to save others. Think about the people that you're surrounded by on a daily basis. Firefighters, police officers, EMTs, they risk their own lives. But then there are people that you're surrounded by that really are willing to do the same thing, that don't necessarily hold the title on their job, but they're just people. They go to work, they might collect your garbage, they may fix your car, they may teach your kids, they may work out on a farm somewhere, but to somebody, they're a hero because they were willing to do what they could to help that other person. Life that's being played out before us is giving us a lot of examples of heroes and what heroism is. We can't help but think about all that's going on in the world right now. The war that's taking place between Ukraine and Russia. And regardless of where you stand on all these things, and I've had people say, well, it's this side doing this or this side doing this. Regardless of all that, we're seeing examples of true heroism and true heroes. Now, one thing about heroes is it can be an individual person, or it can be a group of people, or it can be a whole community or a whole city. And we're seeing that. One thing that moved me in the news that I saw today was a group of individuals over there that are standing up and fighting for their country. There was probably, 8 or 10 of them, maybe a little bit more. And they stood shoulder to shoulder in front of an armored vehicle. I couldn't really tell. I know it's an armored vehicle, but I couldn't really tell what kind of vehicle because the camera was behind the people. And these people stood shoulder to shoulder, had their hands out, and they were pressing against the armored vehicle with their feet dug in on the ground, like they were there to say, we're pushing you back, you're not going any further. Now, obviously, the people, even the amount of people that were there, they weren't strong enough to keep that armored vehicle from moving forward had it wanted to. But they stood in defiance and said, we are putting ourselves on the line for our countrymen. Those are heroes. We've seen people that they've interviewed on the border with Poland that are going back into the Ukraine to fight for the country. Others that aren't even Ukrainians but are coming to say, we're willing to help. We want to go in and we want to help these people stand up to this force that has come against them. They're heroes. They're putting their lives on the line for others. We saw the president of the country had opportunity. We, the United States and others, were willing to go in and help him get out, give him a way out of the country so he would be safe. But he did not. He stayed with his people. He's there now. He's definitely in danger, but he's with his people. And he said, I don't need a ride. I need ammunition. I guarantee you this president will go down in history as a hero. We've seen a beauty queen, an athlete, members of parliament, and moms and dads, grandpas and grandmas take up arms and do other things to stand and hold the line for their country because they love their country and they love their countrymen. They're doing good. They're laying their lives on the line. No doubt some of them know that some of them are going to sacrifice it all for the good of their people. It gets you a little bit in your heart when you think about it, that there's people in those bomb shelters tonight, fearful. There's mamas that are holding their babies. I listened to an interview from a lady that said, I have porridge for my children, but we didn't make any preparations. We weren't prepared. That's scary, isn't it? To think you're not prepared. That lets us know that we need to keep working, guys. There's nowhere for us to jump off and say, okay, we've done enough. We need to keep working. We need to keep encouraging others to work and to prepare to look well to the ways of their household for times that we may have to stay in and buckle down for whatever it might be. Whether it's a virus that's had us crippled for a few years or now this in that country. We just don't know, but we need to be prepared just in case. So, I don't want to be discouraging and leave you on a low note. I want to ask you another question. Who are your heroes? Who do you look up to? If you write down all the people that you feel like are heroes to you, and you look over your list, I would challenge you to begin to ask yourself the questions about each of those persons. Now, there's a difference in admiring somebody for their talents and for their accomplishments and for their strengths, and thinking of that person as a hero, somebody that's willing to lay it on the line for somebody else, someone that helps others, someone that's good and kind. You may have to move some names from off of the hero list to the admire list, and you may have to add some names to your hero list. How about that good old boy that has oil and grease under his nails because he's a hard-working mechanic, and he knew that you were a widow and he fixed your car for nothing because he wanted to out of the kindness of his heart. That's a hero. How about those kids that normally you would think those are snotty-nosed brats? Maybe the last snowstorm that you had, those kids come and shoveled your driveway. Maybe those are heroes. We all need heroes in our lives. Our kids need heroes in their lives. They need people that they can look up to that teaches them how to think of others, how to be kind, to be giving, to teach them and to prepare them for the world that we live in today. They need to know how to make it in this world. And it's up to us to be their example. It's up to us to live our lives in a way that they can point and say, there's our heroes. Those are the ones that rose to the occasion. Those are the ones that saw a need and helped to meet the need. Those are the ones that when I was hurting, they helped me. We need to be heroes to somebody. Now, before we go tonight, I wanted to tell you that the greatest hero that we could ever have, of course, is Jesus. The greatest hero of all. He was kind. He was good. He did kind works for others. And most of all, he laid down his life for you and for me. I hope tonight that I encouraged your hearts and that I gave you something to think about. Until next time, this is Josie. I love you. I really do. We're gone.